Hey guys, welcome back to Planet Wild. This week we're returning to North America to create the beautiful Monument Valley in Arizona. So, a massive thank you to Avitar on the forums who suggested a North American desert with tabletop mountains. And if you've got somewhere that you'd like to see me build, then let me know in the comments and I will add it to the list. On this episode, we're going to be doing things a little differently to normal. I'm going to show you a bit more of the behind the scenes stuff. And the reason for that is, for this episode, for the first time ever, I'm using the user-generated height maps feature that they added to the game back in September, I think it was, last year. I've been wanting to do this for absolutely ages. You can get some great results with them, but it does take a little bit of work, so I thought I'd show you how I put this together a bit more than I usually do, just in case you want to use any height maps yourself. So this is Monument Valley in Google Maps. So I looked around it and worked out the parts of it that I wanted to use and how big or small I'd be able to make it to fit it into the map. And then I went into a tool called Tangram Height Mapper. I'll put a link to it in the description, and this will generate a height map from any location. And the first issue is how big or small can you make it. If you put the whole of Monument Valley in, each one of the buttes, which is the sort of flat-topped rocky outcrops that look so amazing, then they're all going to be tiny. So I had to pick a small section of it that I wanted to recreate so that each one of the buttes would be big enough to look as impressive as they should do. Bit of work in Photoshop to get the brightness correct, and then we can import it into a brand new map. And again, a bit of a trade-off here. So the actual map that we are using in-game, the North American desert map, actually has loads of mesas in the background, which are sort of reminiscent of Monument Valley, but not really correct, because in Monument Valley these huge rock formations sort of sit on their own with just nothing on the horizon, which is what makes them look so impressive. On the other hand, if I go with the Oceania map, which has a completely sort of flat backdrop, because there's only enough room to get a few of these buttes in, then it's going to look a little empty. So there was no perfect solution, so I decided to go with the North American map in the end. So here we are in Planet Zoo. It is looking pretty decent already, actually, just from the height map, although obviously there's a lot of work to do. And you can see in the background there the edge of the map where it's a bit low. So I fixed that by turning that into a series of caves, which I really like. Obviously still a bit more work to do there. And we haven't even spoken about the animals yet. So there are two large species of mammal that live in Monument Valley, the cougar and a species of deer. Now, we don't have the deer in Planet Zoo, but we do have pronghorns, and they live in Arizona, just not in Monument Valley. So I'm going to substitute them in, and we will see them at the end. This is the largest of these flat-topped mountains. It does look really cool already. I love this height map tool. But obviously it's all made out of sand at the moment, so I'm going to go in and paint that with rock textures. So here we have one still made out of sand. I'm going to use a mixture of the smooth and the rough rock textures, and you can see here that it's starting to look really nice now, looming out of the desert there. So I'm going to go in and do the terrain painting on all the rocky outcrops, which I imagine is going to take quite a while. And then with that done, we'll take a look at some other stuff. And this undulating terrain, which is really cool, you can see it does it in meter gradients when you import the height map. So I'm going to use a lot of the smoothing tool to make this a lot smoother, as the name would suggest. And you can see as well the lines, because the whole terrain is just one type of sand, so we need to mix in the other type of sand and some dirt and things like that to get away from the one texture look. There's also something conspicuously missing, of course, which is vegetation. So I'm going to do what I always do in Planet Wild, which is select a small area to work on, use loads of different appropriate foliage until I get it looking the way that I want, and then copy and paste that across the whole map, making changes here and there until I like the way the whole thing looks. So there we go, starting to look a lot more natural now, using a mixture of the drin grass, which we use for everything, some of the new little birch branches scattered around, dead trees, different kinds of bushes and things like that. Really start to get that deserty feel. There is quite a lot of vegetation in Monument Valley, but it is very much sort of scrub and little bits of grass here and there, rather than any large trees or too much greenery. And then we'll move on and put in the Planet Zoo campsite, of course. Has to go in somewhere, so I put it here near the base of this large butte. And what a word butte is. I really like it. I had no idea how to pronounce it. Had to Wikipedia it because it's spelled but. I guessed it wasn't pronounced that way. And then we'll do a lot of work on vegetation on top of the various different rocky outcrops. I've put in a custom outcrop that I've made myself out of rocks, which serves as a sort of viewing point for the valley. This is based off a reference photo I have where people were standing to take in the view of Monument Valley, and that is the build complete. So thank you so much for watching. Stick around for the cinematics and I'll see you soon.